Yeah, all right. I booked a wedding today. High five. You guys can't, it's a screen. Don't hit your screen, please. Hey everyone, so glad you decided to join today. In case you're new to the channel, my name's Chris. I'm doing a 30-day daily vlog challenge through all of January 2019. It's on the creative process, it's on video craft, and it's on just living life. So thanks again for joining, and today I'm just going to go through a couple of the things that I do to get ready. I'm meeting a bride and her fiance here shortly, so I'm just getting prepped for that, and I figured it might be a good idea to just kind of go through that, and hopefully it's helpful for you guys if that's something that you're doing or something that you're interested in offering as a service. So why don't we just go ahead and dig in. So firstly, whenever I'm contacted by a couple to provide wedding film, wedding videography services, whether it's by email or in person or on the phone, first of all, I just want to convey gratitude and excitement over their day, and just be ready to, sort of have that conversation, if that makes sense. I also explain that I prefer to meet in person because I feel like that gives me the best sense of the couple. I feel like, that's the best kind of communication, all the nonverbal cues and everything. And I feel like I can always present myself better and sort of what I do and how I do it. So those are probably the first things that I do. On sort of the day of, or maybe the day before, like right now, I do some prep. One is I kind of rewatch some of my wedding videos and I think about what could I have done better? Is there something that I really liked doing that I feel like really comes across in the videos or something like that? So I just rewatch a few of my more recent videos and just see if there's anything else kind of lodging in my head to remind myself of maybe things that could have gone better, whether it's my communication with the couple or whether it's just something that I'm doing with my second shooter if I have one or something like that. Another very important thing that I want to do in preparation is I feel like I always do better if I've eaten something. For those face-to-face meets, or even if it's over some sort of a video chat or something. That's not my preferred method, but I always want to eat something and it just settles my stomach a little bit, and I feel like, especially if I'm eating in a coffee house and I start drinking that coffee, I don't start showing any shakes or kind of, it's a nervous time for me. I'm not always the best salesman. I guess my wife says I undervalue my services or my creativity, or I undervalue what I have to offer. And so I want to be as confident as I can. For me, part of that is eating, and obviously you want to be well groomed and presentable. So when you're going to a meet or doing video chat or something like that, you definitely always want to be punctual. Obviously, you want to be courteous. You want to, like I said, be prepared with just well groomed and so forth. Have that phone on silent. Always check that. And if you're meeting at like a coffee house or something like that, offer to purchase a beverage for the bride or for the couple, whoever's booking you or potentially booking you, whoever you're meeting with. And just to kind of, it's almost like a gift to them, to show them that you're investing in them and that you're genuine about what they are bringing to the table to talk about. It's a way to smooth it over. Not everybody always takes me up on it, but I feel like I should always offer that, especially for meeting somewhere like that. Now, I'll go through a couple of the documents that I bring along with me. One, and I don't actually have the double-sided brochure, but I just have basically a two-sided, what amounts to less than a sheet of paper for a brochure, and just really talks about just some of the basics about it. It's kind of what I have in any bins at any sort of wedding, bridal shows or anything. So I bring that along with me. It's just something that they can have to, it's a physical thing that they can kind of take with them to help remind them. I always bring, I find it's easier, maybe some people use a tablet for this kind of thing. I find having the physical paper to hand them is just a little bit better, and it's just paper, so it, hardly costs me anything. This is just sort of my packages and elements. I just find it easy to not forget anything when I'm going through a list like this. but it gives them something tangible to sort of see the different price differences and what is included or not, and the different options that they have that I offer, that's available to them. I always bring some sort of a wedding information sheet. This is always changing after every meeting or every wedding, potential clients I have. This information sheet for me always gets changed. In fact, you can see I've done some scribbles on the back for today, but it just is their information. It's for me to keep a record of it, so I can always refer back to it before the wedding, so I have the wedding date and all that stuff especially if they're not booking right away. But B, during editing, I have information like stylistic requests or sort of their vision for this, specific things that they want captured. They need great Aunt Betty in the film for some reason, so I always be sure that they point those sorts of things out ahead of time and on the day. And then this is just to jog my memory during editing, so hopefully I can include that depending obviously on what sort of package or elements that they're purchasing in terms of the services. So things that need to be included, other important details. And then one key thing that I've learned from doing this, I started with another company and now I do it, my own company, Grandview Productions, which I'll link to up here. But one thing that I've learned in my years, and I don't really hear people talk about it, but who is a main point of contact that is not the bride or groom? Now, oftentimes this could be a wedding planner if they have one, but if not, then maybe it's the mother or the bride. Somebody who can sign off, who they tell me, and they sign these forms. Somebody that they tell me can sign off if there's last minute changes, or if I have questions on the day. Things come up all the time, so it's something for me to go through, and or it's somebody for me to go to just to get that signed off, or get that information if I need to. So that's sort of that. Oh, and on the back here I've just added, I always want to ask questions when I sit down with them. I really want to find out who they are, so I kind of pose that question, and sometimes people don't know how to answer that. So I qualify that by, how did you meet? What do you do for work? If you work, are you students? What are you interested in? Some of your interests. If they're really outdoorsy couple, then I would be sure to try and get some B-roll on the day of the surroundings. If it's an outdoor wedding, mountains and forest, whatever. So I just want to be sure to try and capture them in their wedding film. Obviously it's not my film, it's their film, I'm just producing it. So how did they meet, how did they get engaged, what are some of their interests, stuff like that. I also ask them who their photographer is. I know a lot of the photographers in my local area, but I always want to reach out to that photographer ahead of time, not on the day, but ahead of time, as much advanced time as I can get after booking, just to coordinate with them. Sometimes videographer or filmmaker and photographer relationships are really strained on wedding days. We're sort of both jockeying for that same spot, or the couple's time. So I just want to reach out to them and just generate that good relationship, especially if I don't already know them. I ask them things like, are you guys doing a first look? Do you want me to get that? Because that takes some extra planning on my part. How much of the prep am I going to have access to the prep? Because I feel like that's something that can be really cool, in bride prep especially. And that's sort of when in that time when a lot of people do note reading and all that stuff. I let them know that I want to mic them up. And I just try to go about that. I don't say, hey, I want to, you need to wear a microphone, but more like, I found that the best way I can achieve quality audio is to have these small lavalier recorders. And again, they're the Tascam DR10Ls that Matt, who is Matt Johnson, always suggests. And so I'll thank him, and I'll link to a video like I did the other day up in the corner here, just talking about those. But let them know that, and then let them know or encourage a little bit of sort of planned out time that I can have with them alone, not not during their photo time, but just 15-20 minutes to get them alone and just get some of those super cinematic, beautiful alone time shots with them after the actual ceremony, just to try and provide those are some of the sweetest, and just those are just some of the sweetest, most cinematic moments. They're things that they can look back on and just really treasure that little bit, and it only takes 15-20 minutes usually for me. Grab the gimbal, just get some of those, just you know what I'm talking about. You guys have all seen them in recent wedding films. So that's sort of that form. And then I always bring my, what I call the Videography Agreement. It's essentially a contract that and I am not a lawyer, so you shouldn't really look at this too closely in terms of what to model yours off of, but I never force anybody to sign one of these up front in terms of, I give them time to mull this over, because it's, there's just a lot of words in here. I don't want to push anybody into anything. But one of the things I did want to point out that I always try to include in here is the promotional consent. I just explained that it's a big part of my business, that I would really love if they would sign off on letting me use their wedding film, post it on YouTube or whatever, Facebook, just to try and generate some of that interest, but also let them know that it's something that they'll have to share. When I try to give the couple time to post their, like a teaser first before I do for my business, and let that just kind of run rampant. I request that they please tag my business on Facebook or on YouTube in their post, just to kind of generate some of that excitement. It's going to get way more traction that way than if I try and post it and push it out there. It's sort of a more organic way to get hits and stuff like that. So none of this is original to me. This is all things that I've learned from other people and from just doing it for, since like 2008, off and on. So, but yeah, those are sort of the basics. Sometime I might go through more of the specifics on why I do certain things, or why I try to engage couples a certain way, or ask certain questions, or any of that. But afterwards, you always want to be sure to follow up. I know that some companies or some wedding filmmakers like to give gifts, and they find that that's the best return. Instead of doing like advertising, that's the best return, bang for buck for them, is to just give the couple some gifts, even if they don't book, but just basically to say thank you for meeting with me and for considering me. And I always try to inquire as to how the couple found out about me, so that I know how to target any advertising or anything like that a little bit better, and just get better bang for my buck. So those are a couple different ways that I try to reach out afterwards and just let them know thank you for meeting me, especially if they book, that I'm excited. But even if they haven't booked yet, just that I'm excited to go on this journey with them. And just follow up, almost like a first date. That sounds really weird to say, almost like a first date. You want to make that phone call afterwards. So and then the last thing, as with any process in life practically, sort of take a second and evaluate. In wildland firefighting, they call this an after action review, an AAR. So you just sit down and it's basically, what did I do well, what did I not do well, what are ways that I can improve. And depending on your clients, sometimes you can sort of get a little bit of feedback, sort of slyly work in some of that in questions on the day or after delivery of your wedding video. But just trying to find ways to always improve and learn. So those are probably the 5 top things, with some of those sub points that I do to prepare and afterwards for meeting potential wedding clients or folks who have gone ahead and signed a contract or an agreement and are ready to engage my services. Go ahead and drop a comment if you have any other suggestions for me or for other people who may be watching. I sure would appreciate to just sort of generate a conversation that way. Hit that thumbs up if this has been helpful. Subscribe for some more of this content. But I better get going, and we're going to go meet them right now, in fact. Yep, just in the nick of time. Just letting the car warm up, then I'll be on my way. We'll go meet this couple, and hopefully we'll get a wedding. Yeah, should be good. All right. I can't be the only person that gets super nervous going to meet a prospective client. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Everything will be okay. Just one of those things. I get all butterflies in the stomach and jittery, so. Okay, so I'm really excited. All the prep that I did for this one really paid off. They seem like a super cool couple. They're actually involved in wildfires, so we had something to relate, to each other with. I'm just so excited about this wedding. It seems like they're gonna have just a ton of fun, and we kind of just got each other just riled up and ready to go. So I have to wait till October for this wedding to happen, but they're gonna take a look at the agreement just to make sure everything seems right in there. I let them have, almost all the materials. I still have my trusty wedding information sheet. Still have my trusty wedding information sheet here, and I am amped for this wedding. They seem like they are just a super fun couple and are ready to just dance the night away after the wedding. The venue is just a really cool, very scenic venue, kind of out in the middle of the valley with views of the mountain and stuff. It's in October. I am amped to film this wedding, so I hope to bring you guys updates on this as I just sort of work with this couple. I need to think about maybe some small gift to get them, just to kind of help let them know how much I appreciate their business and meeting with me, but also to propel, she said she had a hard time finding videographers or wedding filmmakers here in the area, even though there's a couple of us that do it. So I think word of mouth here is just super important. So the more I can sort of engage this couple and get them excited about me and my business and the product, the film that I'm gonna produce for them, I think the more word of mouth that's gonna generate from them. And so I'm just really amped to deliver this and get started on it. And the photographer is somebody I know and work with really well, so I need to contact her tomorrow and just make sure that we're on the same page. But overall, I am so excited for this one. I am so excited for this one. Thanks for coming on the ride with me, just how I prepare for the sort of first sit down in-person meeting with a bride or a potential couple that are looking at engaging my services for producing wedding films. And just thanks for coming along on the ride. This was a fun one to share, and yeah, all right. I booked a wedding today. All right, guys. Well, this has been a great one. I will see y'all tomorrow once again.